Hello, 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 and welcome to DCU Daily. And we have mostly a fun episode for you today. It's just me for today. Sorry, no Dan. He's off busy doing stuff right now. And, I was like, I can handle it. I think I can handle it. So, what we're going to be talking about is fan casting. Now, I've been promising this video for a while, and I'm finally going to be able to give it to you guys. So, we're going to be fan casting every core leader of the Lantern Corps. We've been talking a lot about Green Lantern. We have our Green Lanterns. We have Kyle Chandler as Hal. We have Aaron Pierre as John. And we have, well, the first out of all of them, Guy Gardner, played by Nathan Fillion, who's going to appear in the upcoming Superman film. So, we're going to get into that. But first, we do have some DCU news. Well, not DCU, Bex news mainly. We have a little bit of Penguin for the future. Last 3 episode titles being revealed. And then on top of the fact, we also have some stills for next episode, as well as a certain famous basketball player asking for help from our, favorite co-CEO of DC Studios. So I'm your host only for today, but let's get into the DC news first. And so here we have the Penguin. The Penguin is going to be, in its last 3 episodes, the final gauntlet of, the best DC show that is currently on. Well, and that's saying something because Superman and Lois I've loved for the past 3 seasons, and I didn't totally love the Batman, and I was a bit iffy at first, but this has really proven itself. So, congratulations to everybody involved for getting me on board with this. So, next 3 episodes are going to be Gold Summit, Top Hat, A Great or Little Thing. So, very intriguing. Gold Summit, obviously, that means something, very, very big is happening soon enough. So, to reach the Gold Summit. And then we have Top Hat. Now, there are some people in the comments below on this post that, like, oh, are we going to finally see the Penguin in his top hat? Hey, Hunter Higgy. Hello, Michael. Nice of you guys to join us today. But that's a little bit of an interesting tidbit is Top Hat. That's the most interesting one out of all of them. The other two are kind of generic. But we do have Top Hat. And I don't know if you guys can see, but we will be getting, we got times for each. Gold Summit will be 52 minutes. Top Hat will be the shortest of the three at 46 minutes. And then obviously the series finale, or maybe season if this does get greenlit for season 2. And with how good this is doing, they might have no choice in the matter. A Greater Little Thing is going to be 68 minutes, over an hour. So that's going to be very, very exciting for, all of us, how this is all going to reach ahead, because they've been just killing it. They have been killing it for the past these past 5 weeks. They've been like just championing great writing, great character development, and like everything. But this has really opened up the world for, the Becks. Hey, Antonio, nice to see you. But yeah, this is, very exciting for any Becks fans, any Penguins. I'm sorry, I just have to keep saying Becks because I know Dan hates it, and I do love, you know, I will say it is a little bit silly, but like, Batman Epic Crime Saga. I'm like, all right, cool, that's fine. But yeah, but that's not the only Penguin related thing we have for you today. Is the next thing we have are the stills for the next episode. Now, it's obviously we got, a classic look at the Penguin with like him chomping on his cigar. It looks a little blue collar though. That makes sense because he's trying to appeal. If you remember from the tease for last episode, we did get a bit of a that the Penguin is catering to the downtrodden of Gotham more so than usual after the events of the Batman. So, but it's nice of him to see he's chomping on his cigar, a nice classic look right there. And then we do get a little bit of Chris and Milioti sharing dinner with somebody, whoever that may be. It might be Julian, Dr. Rush. If I were to take a guess, and Chris Milioti, with her various scars and whatnot, just looking very contemplative. Then we have, Renzi Feliz on a motorbike, which is definitely really cool. Um, that's all very exciting. Hello, Buster Barnes. Everyone just saying greetings. We're right now in the middle of, looking at the stills for next episode. We have Renzi Feliz and Penguin's mother. I know we don't want to see Victor get killed, but he's like a young character, taking him under his wing, no pun intended. All that, and then you also have the dementia-ridden mother. I'm sorry, I just think they're both going to be dead by the end of this series. I don't want it to happen. But it seems like that's the case. So them sharing a nice moment together, that kind of feeds into that theory a little bit. But yeah, that's it for the stills. So we have, a little bit of a tease for next episode. I love this one. This just looks like classic Penguin right here. He looks great here. And, it's all really, really exciting. As I was talking about with, you know, the just Penguin, like it's just been such a great show. It's just like everything has been tough, even for the lesser episodes. I think like episode 3 was probably the weakest, but I think that this show has just showcased that like DC is not as dead as you think. Maybe on the big screen for the time being. Hopefully that gets reverted back once Superman comes out. Probably didn't do a lot of goodwill towards the brand, but it wasn't a DC Studios production. So let's hope that people are like, all right, Joker fully ado, it sucked, even though I personally didn't think so. We'll head on. But they've been killing it. They've been killing it with the small screen. You had, I mean, Dead Boy Detectives I thought was pretty good. I mean, it did get canceled, but I think that was due to kind of political reasons rather than it would being a bad show. It wasn't like the worst thing ever, I don't think. Personally, I don't think. It was fine. It had like room to grow, but in this day and age, you're not allowed to grow anymore because if you don't hit those top tier ratings, you're canceled, or certain politics prevent things from growing further. But Dead Boy Detectives had the hope to be a better show than it was, but even then, it was okay. Then yeah, Batman Cape Crusader. I didn't care for it. I really did not care for it, but a lot of people seem to like it. So that was that as well. I mean, it had Bruce Timm. He could have delivered, 10 episodes of just animated shit, which it kind of was, but like just like a bowl of shit, and it would have been revered because everybody's still sucking Bruce Timm's dick to this day. So there's that. And then Kite Man, hell yeah, it didn't get a lot of love, but me and Bridget, we reviewed every episode. We loved it. And it does have, I know, Rotten Tomatoes. I don't care for Rotten Tomatoes. I don't think it's a good thing, but it did have 100%. So that could mean something, or at least it was in the 90s, I think. That means something to people. So like, all right, I'll give it that. It meant something to people. And then we have the Penguin, and then we have Superman and Lois. Both are good so far. Superman and Lois is not as good as previous seasons, but maybe it'll get better as time goes on. But we've gotten a lot of great stuff from the TV side of things, showcasing that, that's what it's kind of been for the past few years with the DCEU kind of in the shitter. A lot of people went to the Arrowverse, and even though the Arrowverse kind of died towards the end and wasn't that great, people still remember it fondly, unlike the DCEU. So I guess that's something. Like DC has always been great in animation and TV. TV is still championing, animation is still rickety. So, but hopefully with James Gunn at the helm, we can get some animation greatness back, since it hasn't been good since Long Halloween, Batman Long Halloween of the Tomorrowverse. So you know how it is. So well, political reasons, I didn't want to get into it, but Neil Gaiman had allegations against him, not in like actual politics, like like political, as in like, oh, this guy was blamed for stuff. We don't want to continue with his show. We're gonna cancel it. That's why Good Omens season 3 is kind of on the rickety side, because Neil Gaiman had some allegations against him, and you know, um, so whether they're true or not, we don't know. innocent until proven guilty. But that's not here. That's not what this place is to talk about. But I'll reference it for you for your sake. But yeah, that's what allegedly happened to Dead Boy Detective. Sandman is kind of on the who knows what's going to happen with that. Season 2 has kind of been on the back burner for a while, so who knows. But yeah, Arrowverse, to get what you're saying. Buster Barnes Arrowverse fall off crazy at the time, really took a nosedive. Yeah, I agree. I mean, pretty much any show after like season 2, maybe 3, it just took a nosedive, like for all shows involved. Arrow season 3 was terrible. Flash, pretty much after Zoom revealed who he was, it took a nosedive. It had some highlights here and there in the next couple seasons, but still not very good. And then Supergirl season 3, the first half of season 3 was good. Then that took a nosedive, even though season 2 was terrible. Legends got better as time went on, but after season 3, it kind of that nosedive too. And then you just had shows that didn't last. You had Batwoman canceled after 2 or 3 seasons. You had Naomi canceled after 1. Gotham Knights canceled after 1. Superman and Lois is probably the only show that's been like good all the way through, and it's finally ending. So I'm kind of glad it's ending at season 4, even though season 4 hasn't been the best. I see what they're doing, and maybe as a whole, it will be better, as a binge-worthy TV show. So with all of that said, we do have one more thing that I wanted to talk about. We do have LeBron James. Yes, that LeBron James actually, asking James Gunn for a little bit of advice, which is definitely kind of chuckle-worthy. You have, LeBron James has been an avid comic collector. Um, you know, James Gunn been like, man, I'll hook you up. Fuck it. Like, let's go. And LeBron James, he's a celebrated player, even though I don't personally care for him. Has all the hubris of, Michael Jordan, but not nearly enough of the talent. But it just goes to show, Space Jam versus Space Jam 2. Like, look what was a hit and what was remembered, and look what wasn't. So I think the proof is in the pudding right there. But even then, this is still kind of funny. So he was like asking what's the best place to order comics. James Gunn is like, all right, I got you, man. In terms of personally, I don't like reading comics on a screen. It's just not as, you know, I like the experience of holding a comic. Insert famous Stan Lee quote here. But if I have to, I will. Because it's like if it was like, if it's like a issue, like instead of like a trade, like I prefer to have trades. Trades are just better and easier to handle. You got everything there. But if it's like an issue to issue basis, I can read it on a screen. That's fine. But yeah, I thought this was pretty good. New Steel confirmed. That's funny. Oh yeah, Black Lightning. That was good for the first like 2 seasons. Last 2 were kind of went down. I did like Black Lightning. I thought it was a good show. It did have its mishaps here and there, but overall it was good. It went into the commentary way too hard at certain points, but overall I still think it was a rather good show. Antonio, the only thing me and LeBron James agree on is Batman is the GOAT. That's the only thing me and LeBron agrees on. That's funny. Yeah, DC Infinite. Fun fact, I was part of DC Infinite back when it was DC Universe and they had shows on there. But yeah, I would say if you want like a good like harbinger of like stuff, then I would say get the DC Infinite app. But I prefer holding comics. I prefer to have like a physical comic in my hand. As you know what, I'll say this famous Stan Lee quote: comics are a lot like boobs. Sure, they look great on a screen, but I prefer to hold one in my hand. It's a classic line from a classic man. So yeah, this is, it was just a cute little thing, cute little interaction. I got you. Very funny. I thought that was rather nice, but that's not the only stuff we're going to get into today. I just wanted to go quickly, but now we're here to talk about the real nitty gritty. Now, what I have for you today is, as I mentioned before at the start of the show, I was talking about Lantern Corps members. Now, specifically, the um, what is it? The core leaders. Um, the core leaders. Because I thought that that would be a rather fun thing to um to talk about, because it's like we have our Green Lanterns already. We have our most famous Green Lanterns, from Hal to John to Guy, and then God knows whatever else. Now I know that they're gonna remain grounded for Lanterns, whether it's just one series or the entire show of multiple seasons, maybe just season one. Maybe if it's only going to be one, if it's a mini series, it's going to be just that mini series, or we're going to get grander stuff later on. Keep it grounded, keep it low budget for the first, 8 episodes, and then go on to bigger and better things once it gets successful. Get that goodwill and then move on. That's my hope, at least. But I wanted to get into the core leaders now. Um, I can kind of see what you're saying, Buster. I can kind of see what you're saying. Um, so yeah, I wanted to get into that, and because I have a lot of really good picks. Personally, I think I think I have some fun picks for you guys. Now, I wanted to put Buster Barnes' comment. I hope it's just one series, then they go into space movies, but who knows? I can kind of see that. I kind of agree with it a little bit, because um yeah, I mean, with these, characters, they're so big budget. There's a lot of lore, a lot of like heavy effects. So like I can't see that, but I feel like it could work as a show if you put like enough time and effort into it. And who knows if Tom King will actually do that? Who knows, indeed. But I have enough dilly dallying. So I'm gonna go through the spectrum of starting with, red. I decided, for Atrocitus, famously, no Dexstar right now, but Dexstar doesn't really have a lot of words. So anyway, so I decided to pick Tony Todd for the voice of Atrocitus. Now I have 2 picks, 2 to 3 picks per thing, but I think what I wanted for Atrocitus was essentially, I wanted it to be, what's I wanted there to be like sort of a, I can't think of a good word for this, but I wanted, like, to have the emotion, and I wanted to have the rage of Atrocitus drip through every single piece of dialogue that he had, you know? Because Tony Todd is such an exceptional actor. I know he's a little bit older now. Not a lot of great images of him, but he's is 69 years old at this point. However, I do firmly believe that he I think he could do it, because Tony Todd, like, he's famously played Candyman. He is, so exceptional in that role. He was, for his 3 movies, even though the latter 2 were not that good. Um, he he he's such a great voice actor, and he just absolutely drips with rage, most definitely. And I think that that would definitely be the case here. I think, I mean, who wouldn't want to see him as Atrocitus? Who wouldn't? Like, a show of hands, please. And who wouldn't want to see him as Atrocitus? So I think, and obviously, it would be 100% motion capture or CGI, and he would just be doing the voice, because he uh just kind of can't, at this point. Like, get another actor, like get someone who can actually do motion capture, get CGI. But essentially, just Tony Todd, like, what I would say, like, the easiest thing you can do is probably watch Candyman and just be like, he just drips, like, be my victim. Like, the way he says every line is just absolutely and utterly perfection. So, and I decided to put my rings on, guys. Um, I was gonna do this in the opening, but I'm like, you know what? Let me give you little bit of that. So I'm gonna hold on to my rings for the entire episode. The ones that don't fit, unfortunately, but like I got them. But I do have another great. Now, when you think of great voices that can hold a lot of rage behind it, again, he's an older gentleman, but I mean, he just turned 60, I believe. And I think again, it's a guy who can drip with rage and just knows a lot of pain and funnels that into anger. It's Christopher Judge. Now, if you don't know who Christopher Judge is, boy, Kratos himself as Atrocitus. Now, if that doesn't spark any sort of interest, I don't know what will. Now, I prefer Tony Todd, but he is a little bit older. Christopher Judge is 60, but he like for the most part like looks okay, like he looks good for his age. Um, but he would be so fucking good. He would be again similar with Tony Todd. He knows like the rage behind a certain element of like he knows how to like portray that properly. Like the character of Kratos just went through every imaginable sort of pain. I mean, he lost his wife because he fought gods to fucking get rid. Like he did all like I know Kratos is like that's the biggest thing. I know he's done a lot of other great roles, but it's just like Kratos as Atrocitus. Come on, that would be absolutely just yes, Buster Barnes. I also agree. I'd also agree. He would be a great dark side as well. I think he would be like in terms of a voice, great dark side. I mean, I'm sure he could probably do the motion capture. I don't know if he does motion capture for Kratos. Any gamers here, please answer that. I'm not too sure. But yes, I think it just like it kind of speaks for itself. It does most definitely speak for itself. So we have our, we have our rage, we have our atrocituses. I think these guys would be again, if we're just purely talking about a voice, I would say get a motion capture actor who can do all of like everything that is necessary to do, or just like fully CGI. I don't know if you need like motion capture, but I would say just from a voice perspective, get one of those two guys. Gets like because they know rage, they know anger, and you need to understand that and channel it properly because you need to have someone who can like be in control of their of who they are and what their anger is, and but also someone who can blow up really well. I think Christopher Judge can do that a little bit better than Tony Todd because I think Tony Todd would be a more controlled anger, while I think Christopher Judge could definitely be like more outward and, for lack of a better word, extroverted with his anger. So yeah, I think those two guys would just be perfection. Now we move on to Larfleeze. Now Larfleeze is, got my ring right there. We have Larfleeze. Now, he is the greediest being in the planet. Now, let me ask you. Let me ask you if this rings a bell. So initially the Orange Lantern Corps it had a entire like legion, but like Larfleeze was so inherently greedy, he killed every other Orange Lantern Corps member so he could have the Orange Lantern for himself. So let me see if this rings a bell. So a disgustingly gross creature becomes so obsessed with a certain type of ring that gives him a lot of power to the point he doesn't want to share it with anybody else despite his deformities. Guys, who else but Andy Serkis? Like Larfleeze is essentially Space Golem. Like, come on. Like, who else could you see in this role? I do have someone else who I think could be good in a very different sort of way. I know this is like a very like easy, a very um I know that's a very easy way to, do that. Like, oh, he's Space Golem. Get the guy who played Gollum. But you know what? It works. I know he's gonna be off doing his like Lord of the Rings Gollum trilogy or whatever. But honestly, I think he would be so excellent. Like maybe it's a little bit, and the top on top of the fact he does do motion capture. I mean, he did do the Planet of the Apes movies. He did all of these. So, and King Kong and all this. So he's he's done and obviously Gollum, but like others as well. So, I mean, Larfleeze is essentially space Gollum. So might as well get the guy who fucking played Gollum. So with that, I thought he would be. I mean, again, it kind of just speaks for itself at this point. You know, it just, you know, avarice. It just speaks for itself. But I do have somebody else, someone who now I imagined in terms of someone who does insane very well. Now, in terms of any type of actor, he already has the, superhero pedigree, well, supervillain pedigree, I should say. Um, uh, I don't know what like I can't imagine what Larfleeze the Buster Barnes. That's a very good point. I don't like. I imagine it's something like kind of that the Gollum-y kind of voice, but but more like nasally maybe. Like that's whenever I read like a comic with Larfleeze in it, like I imagine like a very like nasally sort of fucking like a just a like again someone who can drip. And again, he's a greedy character, someone who can drip, and he's just a phenomenal actor. But in terms of the other choice I have, I decided to go with someone who was insane in every, he's the guy he's the insane guy. I know a lot of people wanted to see him as the Joker, but at that with his age, I think that's unlikely. But he can do a voice and he can do motion capture, and he still does his own stunts. And that is Willem Dafoe. Willem Dafoe. Now, I imagine if anyone to do a Larfleeze voice, I think Willem Dafoe could do it better than Andy Serkis because I feel like Andy Serkis would just reiterate Gollum. Willem Dafoe, I think, in terms of someone who he has a very long, lanky kind of body. And on top of the fact, I think he could do like a voice that would be very like much more sinister, much more, like a lot of psychopathic desperation in his voice. I know he's a little bit probably too highbrow for someone like Larfleeze, but I do think that it's just like he's tremendous in everything he's in. Like no matter what, he is tremendous. And he hasn't done a lot of like motion capture work. Um, However, I do think that I don't think he would mind because he has like a respectability towards what's the word I'm looking for? He has like a respectability towards like doing his own stunts, like stunt work. So I do very much believe that he would most definitely do some. I think he would be into it. I think he's like, you want me to play an alien? Yeah, sure, why not? Godspeed, Spider Man. Anyway, but yeah, um, that's it for Larfleeze. Again, for the smaller ones, I'm only doing two. However, for three, the next one we have. I apologize. I'm gonna flip you guys off, but I do have the Sinestro core, and who should I get to play Sinestro now? For the first choice I have, he is the obvious choice. He's the one that everybody, and I mean everybody, fan cast, but why mess with perfection? I have Luke Evans for Sinestro. Now, the man has proven time and time again how incredibly talented he is. Now, I could definitely see him in the role. Now, he is 45. That's a little bit younger than Kyle, a lot, about 14 years younger than Kyle Chandler. So I think he's about 45, 46. I don't know. This was written. This might have he might have had a birthday. I'm not sure, but he's around mid 40s. So that's a little bit younger now, especially if you want someone who um mentored Hal, then you would probably want someone around the same age or a little older. I know the age doesn't really matter. One, they're covered in CGI and or makeup, and it's also aliens, so who gives a shit? But like at the same time, um, I do genuinely believe he would be. So I know he was also. I think he would also be a good midnighter if they ever talk about the Authority. Either or, but I've seen him fan cast as Sinestro a lot, and I do think that he would definitely he would be exceptional. He would be so good because I feel like in terms of the villains, now he's played like Gaston and like over the top villains, but I do believe that he could, he could play those over the top aspects of like the sort of like, because I feel like Sinestro is kind of like almost like a Shakespearean kind of villain, like very like not scenery chewing, but like almost reaching that. And Luke Evans can do that, but he could also do like the more subtle, like I will instill fear into the entire galaxy and none of you will fucking stop me. So I think Luke Evans could do that, but he's also played good guys. So if you have flashbacks of him as Sinestro as part of the Green Lantern Corps, got that one. I think he would definitely be able to do both, like the flashbacks, if there are. He would do the good, he could do the bad. He could do both very well. So Luke Evans, most definitely, I could definitely see it. So the only trouble is the age. Now, the next guy I chose, I think he would be better as another villain, and I'll get to that once I show who he is. Um, I think personally, he would be a better Brainiac, but I think he would do Sinestro nicely, and the age also matters. I have Jason Isaacs. Jason Isaacs as Sinestro. Now, I do think he'd be a better Brainiac, but however, I think Sinestro and Brainiac kind of overlap a little bit because like Jason Isaacs usually plays like very like intelligent characters, and I feel like that fits more with Brainiac. I would love to see him as Brainiac. However, he's 61. He's a few years older than Kyle Chandler, so I think that helps. I think that helps. Get someone who's a little bit older. I know it's only 3 years, but I do, however, believe the age matters a little bit. I can imagine that they don't want someone so old that they can't like do so. They can't like do a franchise with him if they do bring Sinestro in much later on. But I do think sometimes in this case the age matters. So I would like to believe that Jason Isaacs would be a terrific Sinestro. Now, I do have one more, and this one is a bit out there, but once I saw it, the look of him and the acting ability, what he's done, and honestly, this image that I have of him kind of perfectly showcases that he's in between Jason Isaacs and Luke Evans, but I think he would be absolutely perfect. I think if you don't want someone too famous and you want someone who's more of a TV actor, with Tony Dalton. Now, if you don't know who Tony Dalton is, he's been in a bunch of stuff. He was I think swordsman in Echo. But so he does have some superhero pedigree, but he was also one of the many villains in Better Call Saul. And he was so fucking supreme. I've never seen him in anything prior to Lalo Salamanca in Breaking Bad, but I'm like, because I was going through like different cats, because I'm like, I got Luke Evans, I got Jason Isaacs. I'm like, I want somebody else because Sinestro deserves 3. So I'm like, who do I go with? And I was looking, and I saw Tony Dalton, and everything fucking clicked. If they were to get Sinestro, I think he would be the best out of all of them. He has the look. He's not too old, but he's on the cusp of like he can be older than need be. Be older than need be. And the way it's just like, I know it's one role, but in terms of what I saw of him in not Breaking Bad, sorry, Better Call Saul. In Better Call Saul, he just owned the fucking room. Like, I would say he was just as good, if not better, than Giancarlo Esposito as Gus Fring. I know. That is heresy. That is heresy. However, he's so fucking good. He was so fucking good in that role. And again, he had a level of control. He didn't like have a lot of outbursts, and he instilled fear wherever he went. So that's the thing I would want for Sinestro. Not only the look, but he would instill the great fear of the galaxy of the Sinestro Corps. Most definitely. Hey Hugo, how you doing? Um I just think he would be. I don't know who the antagonist of the show will be. They'll probably pick like Hector Hammond or something like that, or like an original character or something stupid like that. I just pray to God those rumors aren't true because those were really dumb. But I would love to know your guys' thoughts on this because I think Tony Dalton would be the most excellent casting for Sinestro. I think he's perfect. He's not super A-list like Jason Isaacs and Luke Evans. I wouldn't say they're A-list, but they're bigger than Tony Dalton. Tony Dalton isn't as big as those guys, but he's mainly a TV actor. So he's cheap. I hate to say cheap because he's phenomenal. This man, this fucking guy, it was so fucking good. It was heresy that it's heresy that Better Call Saul didn't win any nominations throughout its entire run, but it's especially fucking heresy that this dude did not get like some Emmy or a Golden Globe because Dalton was supremely fucking excellent. And if they're sticking with lanterns on TV, stick with Tony Dalton as Sinestro. The man is just a talent to be reckoned with, and as the greatest threat to the galaxy, I would most definitely think so. Him as Sinestro would be a winning combination for the DCU. Most definitely. He could be around for a long time. He has the acting talent. He has the menace. He is complete. And who gives a fuck about Echo? Come on. If DC rings you up and they're like, we want you to play Sinestro, yeah, you're fucking bolting from Marvel and playing Sinestro. Come on now. But yes, I think Tony Dalton would be such a supremely excellent Sinestro. Now we move on to Saint Walker, who is, of the Hope variety. There he is. Well, not he, but the Blue Lantern Corps. Now, the the thing that made me want to actually do this, this was the this was kind of the big brain trust of like, let's cast a bunch of Lantern Corps members. So for Saint Walker, he hasn't done motion capture work, but he is in a career renaissance, just won an Oscar. I picked Ke-Huy Quan. I forget who mentioned this. Somebody mentioned this. It might have been Hugo. It might have been somebody else. I don't remember. Somebody mentioned Ke-Huy Quan as Saint Walker. And I'm like, you know what? That sounds fucking excellent. I would love to see that because this is a character. Now, Saint Walker, he's the leader of the Blue Lantern Corps. And he, it's all about hope. And I think Quan is definitely a guy who instills hope in a lot of people. He's a guy that did a couple movies in the 80s, pretty much left the industry because he didn't think there were roles for him. He did do some stunts here and there. Like he was a stunt coordinator on the first X-Men movie, and he did some stuff here and there, but nothing too major. And then Everything Everywhere All at Once, just bam. And he just came in and was rocking out. And the trailer for Love Hurts just came out. So I think he would be so good as Saint Walker because I feel like it's kind of like he instills what he represents. This is a guy that kind of quit the industry, but then he came back full force, and now he has become as beloved as Keanu Reeves in terms of incredibly wonderful and likable guys that are just amazing in what they do, and I think he could do that very well. Um, I think it would be a very, hey Ron, how you doing? But yeah, I think he would be wonderful. I think yes, don't worry, Casey. We're gonna get into Black Hand soon enough. We are definitely gonna be getting into Black Hand. So that's going to be the last because that's black. Black is the last. So I understand that it's not Blackest Night, but however, with how things are going in terms of the DCU, they're kind of over planning a bit. So I feel like they'll be like, oh, we got to introduce Black Hand. And with that, we have to do Blackest Night. I understand he's a character that exists. I understand that. You understand that. I get that. I'm thinking in DC Studios and what James Gunn and Peter Safran are thinking, like, okay, we introduce this guy. We have to do Blackest Night now because now, unfortunately, Black Hand has become synonymous with Blackest Night. So that's just, I'm thinking in a corporate business sense. That's all. I'm thinking in like that kind of sense. But anyway, we'll get to Black Hand soon enough. But yes, Kehu Kwan, I hope I'm pronouncing his name correctly. I think he would be a really great Saint Walker. Now, I do have another one for Saint Walker. This one's kind of an easier one in terms of a motion capture, practical kind of. And I'm going for more of the look of the character rather than, although he is a brilliant actor. I'm not saying he isn't, but I'm going for more the look of Saint Walker. Although Kei-Hukwan would definitely be in under motion capture. Is Doug Jones. This is unfortunately not a great picture of Doug Jones, but he's again, he has superhero pedigree. He was, Silver Surfer. He was Abe Sapien in Hellboy, and all this other stuff. There he is with a boa constrictor, I guess. But yes, I think Doug Jones would be a great Saint Walker if we're going for more of the look. But I think he is also, it's also reminiscent of his character on Star Trek Discovery. What I saw a little of it, he's kind of like this more like kind of humble figure, and I think that would also feed into Saint Walker a little bit. I don't know a ton about Saint Walker. Ah, Lenny! Hey! Oh my God, we've missed you. I'm so glad you're back. Unfortunately, with no Dan, we don't have Fiona here, but I hope I am good enough. It is so wonderful to see you. We have desperately, desperately missed you for the last couple of DCU dailies. It's been empty. It's been so empty without you. I'm so glad that you have joined us today. I'm very, very glad you're here with us. I'm sure I am speaking for everyone here. We have all missed you. Oh, Ron, don't say that. Lenny's not a weirdo. We love Lenny. All right. I would ban you for saying stuff like that. Lenny's wonderful. She's our number one fan. She's our Kathy Bates. No, I'm just kidding. Um, thank you, Lenny. I appreciate that. I'm really glad you missed me. I just wish Dan were here so we get like the full crew back. But yes, today we're talking about Lantern Corps. I don't know how, Lantern Corps members, Lantern Corps leaders. I don't know how long you've been in the chat, but but right now we're talking about Saint Walker and how Doug Jones would be an excellent choice from acting ability wise, from look wise. It would be awesome if they could try to do a practical Saint Walker. That would be great. Unlikely, but I think it would be great. But yes, Doug Walker, fabulous actor. He's a bit older. He's about 64, but Kehu Kwan is about 53. So I think yeah, he would be a tremendous. I mean, it kind of speaks for itself in terms of his look, in terms of like the contortionist sort of like long bodied look. But I think it would, in terms of acting ability, in terms of what he would borrow from other characters, he usually plays more like, he doesn't play a lot of big figures. I mean, even in like Pan and Pan's Labyrinth. Well, I know he's not Pan, but like I know the character's not named Pan, but in turn, because he was just like the body, he wasn't the voice. I don't believe. So like he even like he acts like he plays big characters, but like he himself, like whenever he's like actually like acting and like using his voice and all that, he's much more humble character. But he also, he's very intelligent, very like well spoken, and I think I think he would definitely play Saint Walker very well and get and kind of instilling that hope. Like this guy who was just a you know weirdo contortionist becoming so much bigger and becoming the practical version of like a motion capture actor, and he's tremendous in every single one of his roles. But we're not done yet. We are not even close to being done yet. We still have the probably the strangest one out of all of them is I wrote. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Um, where it is she is the tribal leader of the Indigo tribe. You know, this one we got it right there. Um, but I was told DC Studio. Oh, hold on. We have a something from Kavari. I don't think I've seen your name before. I apologize if I'm forgetting, but interesting. I haven't been doing a lot of, comments. I apologize. Um, but Kavari says, I was told DC Studios won't announce a new Wonder Woman until 2026 because of a two-picture deal. If they announce a new Wonder Woman that's not played by Gal Gadot, we would have to pay around 20. That makes a lot of sense, actually. That makes a lot of sense why Paradise Lost is happening, why no Wonder Woman stuff. Well, meanwhile, in terms of the Trinity, we got 66% of the Trinity with movies coming out in the next few years, yet no Wonder Woman outside of a prequel series. So thank you, Kavar. If that is true, I don't know what your role is in that, but that's a very interesting point of view. So we will keep that in mind. And but in terms of a logistical sense, that does make sense in terms of like Gal Gadot, I would imagine would still be under contract for like, a few years. So they have to like wait. That's exactly what's happening with the X-Men franchise. Um Fox still has like a deal with like X-Men, even though they were bought out by Disney, and they can't use them until I believe 2026. Um, so they can't cast new X-Men until 2027, I believe. And that's around the time Doomsday and Secret Wars is coming out. So that makes sense because if they and they would have to pay them out. And then of course, even though they're $1 billion corporation, they don't want to pay anybody out. So you know, that's how it is. So when I was looking for Iroke, um, or Indigo Tribe, Indigo One is also her name. I decided to bring back an actress who is unfortunately leaving DC, but I'm like, you know what? I wanted to find someone who has a lot of compassion. Unfortunately, I can't cast Lenny for this because she's not an actress, but I did pick someone who had a lot of compassion in the DC thing she was in. I chose Elizabeth Tulloch. I know that's a bit of a bit of a low choice because she's still technically Lois Lane, but she's not going to be Lois Lane much longer, only for the next couple weeks. She's going to be Lois Lane, but she is unfortunately leaving us. So I'm like, you know what? Let me I think she's more than deserving of a another role in DC. And I think that I've seen a couple different things for her, but I think she's definitely the most like human Lois Lane I think we've ever gotten, the most compassionate, and with that, I think she would be good as the compassion side of the light spectrum of the Lantern Corps. So I know this is a really out there choice, but Iroke is kind of like a very strange character and not a very popular like lantern leader as opposed to Atrocitus, Sinestro, and Saint Walker. So she's probably like the lowest of the low in terms of the totem pole. However, I think Bitsy Tulloch could be a really good one. I Jadar, yes, we love Famke, but not who we're doing right now. But yes, I do believe Bitsy Tulloch could be great, and I would love to see her come back. It's kind of like just me being like, "Hey, I'd love to see her in DC stuff again." James Gunn, make it happen. So yes, I decided to pick her. Now, the next one I'm going for is a bit of an easier one. Um, in terms of an actress that um James Gunn has worked with before, and he likes to use the same sort of actor, so I decided to pick her. I decided on Danielle Melchior. Danielle Melchior, she was the starring sort of catch from the Suicide Squad as Ratcatcher 2. She was easily the best part of that movie, and it seems like Nina Mazursky is kind of following that the with Zoe Chow in Creature Commandos. You know, James Gunn likes to do similar ensemble sort of things. So, um, I don't know if Danielle Melchior has an official casting in the new DCU. I would imagine. I mean, he used her in Guardians when when he switched back, and then now switching back again to DC. I can imagine that she's probably going to be somebody. I would love to see her as Jessica Cruz as well. And I think she would be a good pick for that. She might be a little bit too old with who they have in mind, but I think she would be great. But I think, I think again, in terms of her character in the Suicide Squad, I think if, she's not going to still be playing Ratcatcher because, multiversal stuff, who knows. But if they're not, and to be fair, she would be under a lot of bit of makeup, or makeup or CGI, so it's fine. But she was like a very compassionate character there, and I feel like that would fit in with the Indigo tribe, the compassionate side of the Lantern Corps. So I think she's just a really great actress. She deserves better than Fast X, I'll give you that, and Roadhouse. She needs a better agent. So yeah, if we're getting her back for DC and she's not going to be playing Ratcatcher 2, then I would say throw her in a mocap suit, make her leader of the Indigo tribe. I think that would be pretty awesome. So yeah, Daniela Melchior is my next pick. Plus, I love Daniela Melchior very much. She's probably my celebrity crush if I were to say so myself. But even then, biases aside, I think she's a really good actress. She fits into the vibe of that. I would imagine that character Indigo One slash Iroque would be. So yeah, I think she would be very good in that role. And she fucking deserves better. Like, girl, what you doing in Fast X and Roadhouse? Come on now. But next we have Star Sapphire. Now, this shouldn't be a surprise to anyone because she's on the goddamn thumbnail. She's in the title. Dan loves to, tease my goddamn shit. I don't. I hate it when there's a lack of surprise, and that's Famke Janssen. Not the best picture of her, but let me see if I can find a better one. I can't. It looks like. Um, yeah, that one's okay. Um, but yeah, Famke Janssen, I think she would be great. I was initially I had some other women in mind for the role of Star Sapphire. However, um, the problem was uh, we didn't have a Hal yet. So then once Hal was cast and Kyle Chandler's 59, Famke Jensen is 59. So I wanted to pick an actress who was like in that age range. I don't want to pick someone who's like super young or anything like that. I thought that would be a little bit weird. So I was like, you know what, let me cast Famke Jensen. I mean, again, um, um, yes, I agree. So a lot of people are talking about, oh yes, uh, our favorite boy is in the comments right now. Um, but yes, hello Daniel. But yes, I how okay. I will say um that's an interesting sort of thing. I'm gonna throw you up on the screen, Lenny. But I'm not like shitting on you or anything. But this is an interesting. She's had too much surgery now. I can kind of see that. Like, I'm not now. Plastic surgery is a very, 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 very nuanced discussion to have, and not one I'm willing to discuss here. But I think it's a very interesting way of looking at it. I don't mind as long. I mean, she's a great actress. She has the superhero pedigree with Jean Grey, and I think it's I'm not going to say my thoughts on plastic surgery because I don't want to get canceled. So I'm not going to say it, but I think that's an interesting like tidbit to mention. And I think and not in like a good way or a bad way or anything like that. Just like I feel like that's an interesting discussion to have in regards to that. And again, we're reaching almost the hour here, so I don't want to discuss it too much. But if we're going, I understand the look might be a little disconcerting for some people, but I think Famke is a great actress and someone who can definitely do the role quite well. Now, motion capture, if you're talking about Star Sapphire doesn't really have motion capture. She's just a human, unlike Iroke, who's, you know, not, maybe that's who you're talking about. But even then, I do think Famke would be a very good choice. However, I understand people's apprehension if there is like surgery involved, because it's like it's needless and not very, I will never understand it. I'm just a regular Joe Schmo who doesn't have to worry about beauty standards. So I can't really say a lot about it. I'm not in that realm. I'm not a woman. I'm not in that Hollywood sphere. So who knows? But like, I'm just saying, I personally don't understand it. But if you do, you can do whatever you want to your body because it's your body and your body, your choice. So even then, even despite all that, I think Famke could be a really good choice. I think she, has those little idiosyncrasies that could make Star Sapphire work. She's like kind of like oozes sexuality. I mean, she was a Bond girl at one point. But I think she can. Jean Grey was proof that she could be a very sort of like loving character, and I think she in the faculty before she like gets turned into an alien, I think that was also like she can play more subdued and introverted as well if like need be, if they need to go in that direction. And then but she can also play like evil, sort of like evil version of like Star Sapphire, extroverted kind of vibe. So whatever they need from her, I think Famke Janssen can do a whole spectrum, no pun intended, of different things with the Star Sapphire character, whatever they do, in fact, decide to do. Now, the next one I have again has some superhero pedigree a little bit. Again, she's a little bit older, but I think again she would be great. Just as long as there's no milk involved, and that's Elizabeth Shue. Now she was on The Boys, dead now, but I think Elizabeth Shue would definitely. She could do again two sides very well, because Star Sapphire is a very morally interesting character, because she can be like, even though the Star Sapphires are the you know core of love, she was like kind of like she kind of goes into evil a little bit. But I think she can in terms of a like duking it out with um Green Lantern, Hal Jordan. She's been evil, she's been not evil, she's been somewhere in between. She's kind of been a little bit of everything, and I think Elizabeth Shue can do that very well. She's played evil very well on The Boys. She's played very nice, kind, and good. Like Karate Kid is the one that comes close to mind, but she kind of does like something in the middle a little bit, where she does a little bit of a balance, a little bit of both. So I do very much believe that she can do like an entire like, because Star Sapphire does involve like a lot of different things with the character, very like morally intriguing character. Um um so yeah. Um that's an interesting sort of, all right. I mean, uh yes, Hunter Eggie, I did see your comment about Mahershala Ali. I don't know who you were talking about, because maybe as Sinestro, maybe as Saint Walker, maybe as Larfleeze, maybe as Atrocitus. I don't know. Maybe as Black Hand. That might be a little bit too on the nose, no, though. So now we're kind of getting into the comments are kind of getting into a little bit of plastic surgery stuff. Casey, I'll just leave it your comment there. But yes, I think Elizabeth Shue would be great. I do have one more in regards to Star Sapphire, because Star Sapphire is a pretty. I mean, Carol Ferris was the is the love interest for Hal Jordan, and I think she would be great as another type of character. However, I think she could definitely do Star Sapphire now, because again, if you're looking for an entire spectrum of characters, she's done really very good, done really very evil. That's Lucy Lawless. I know she's the Wonder Woman equivalent. Like she was considered for Wonder Woman way back when. She's Xena Warrior Princess. Of course, she's like considered to be like Wonder Woman or Hippolyta or something associated with Wonder Woman. However, I do think she would work great as Star Sapphire. She's a couple years younger than Kyle Chandler, but I think, you know, she can definitely do the sort of loving character. Like she kind of had that vibe in Parks and Recreation where she was like didn't take shit, but like she was deep down is still a very caring person. And I think that that would be perfect for Star Sapphire in terms of like if we're going more down the middle, like morally gray, but like still a caring person, like loving, showing the loving side of the love core. You know, I think she would be all she would be fun. Like I think Lucy Lawless, she would be excellent in no matter what role she was given. Um, oh, Lenny, that is such a fucking great. Hang on, we gotta put that is a great one. I didn't even think of that because usually Hippolyta and Wonder Woman are the main ones, but then of course the fucking general, god damn, she would be a great Antiope. I think Robin Wright did an excellent job. Don't get me wrong, as long as they don't kill her off like they did with Antiope in the Wonder Woman franchise. But yes, I think that would be awesome. I would love her as Star Sapphire. I think she would be great here, but honestly, she would be great in anything. She could play Batman and get away with it. So, you know what? Fuck it. Lucy Lawless as Batman. Hashtag Lucy Lawless as Batman. Fuck it. Let's go. I'm just kidding. But I think she would it's Lucy Lawless would be one of those cases where she would be just supremely excellent in any role she was given. It's just like we have a 50-something-year-old Hal Jordan. She is 50 something now, Lucy Lawless. There we go. So I'm like, if I can get like a 50 something character, boom, there you go. Easy. So I feel like that was kind of an oh, okay. Mahershala Ali is Martian Manhunter. We're not talking about Martian Manhunter right now, but that would be awesome. I mean, Blade ain't happening anymore, so like, fuck it. Uh, Mahershala, we'll treat you better than the shit fucks down the street. All right. We'll actually like give you something to work with. I don't know if he would want to do Martian Manhunter because some people were saying in the comments like, oh, motion capture. Some like highbrow actors don't want to do that. That's fair. That is a true point. But I think Mahershala Ali would be great as Martian Manhunter. Might be a little bit too young, but I still think he would be great. So yes, Hunter Iggy, I definitely agree with you there. But we're moving on to the final stretch, guys. And I forgot to show off my Star Sapphire ring. Now, last but certainly not least, KC, you've been championing this for a while. We have the Black Lantern Corps with Black Hand. I know Black Hand. I was saying this before. I understand he's a character that's not associated with Blackest Night all the time, but now he kind of is. Like he existed long before Blackest Night, existed long after. However, I do think in a business logistical sort of sense, Black Hand, like, oh, what do people think of when they think Black Hand? They think of Blackest Night. And even though he existed long before then, that's what people think of now, unfortunately. It's like, you know, what's a good like people don't think of like Dick Grayson as Robin anymore because he's been Nightwing for so long, but that doesn't mean he wasn't Robin. So, that's just, I know that might be a dumb argument, but in terms of a Black Hand, now I understand he's on The Boys. He's already mentioned in the thumbnail. He would be great. He would, because I think it would be like people seem to forget that Carl Urban is more than just the angry guy. He actually is a capable actor. The bro is in Lord of the Rings, for fuck's sake. So I feel like he has the range to do Black Hand, who's more of like psychopathic crazy, but not in like a Joker or Billy Butcher sort of sense, but in a like just like kind of like mental patient sort of sense. I understand Joker's a mental patient, but I mean like in like someone who's not just like crazy in your face crazy type of shit, but like kind of like kind of talking to himself, like that kind of thing. That's what I imagine like his version of Black Hand would be. Yes, I understand Black Hand could be like more in control and more like in that aspect, but I think he could like kind of do like a kind of a wispy, weirdy kind of Black Hand sort of thing. So I think he could do that, but he could also do the more controlled sort of like, oh, I'm in control. I could do this like however I want, like whatever I want. Like he understands the goal. He needs to do this, this, and this to like defeat this and like I think he could do a broad sense of what Black Hand could be. So yes. Um but yeah, I'm just looking at the comments right now. Wesley Snipes is Black Lightning. There's only one Black Lightning. There will be only ever one Black Lightning. Anyway, um, yeah, I hope we get a diverse Themyscira because there's different like mythologies of like Themyscira and what have you. But I think, yeah, I think Richard Madden is Batman. I think I mentioned him as Batman. Um, Jodie Comer, I think, would be a good star. Sapphire. She might be a little bit too young, but yes, Carl Urban, great as Black Hand. I still have two more. Two more. He's a big character. So, in terms of he's recently played a super mental patient. So I thought that that would have been perfect. Um, the next one I have, let's see if I brought him up properly. We have Oscar Isaac. Oscar Isaac. I understand he's at Marvel with Moon Knight, but like the man deserves something. He was wasted as Poe Dameron. He was wasted as Moon Knight. Let's give him something carte blanche. He could do whatever the fuck he wants and just let him go crazy. Whatever he wants. Like the man is one of the most like he's traditional in terms of his acting method, but like he feels like a 70s actor, but like in today's world, but not in like a bad way. He's just the way he approaches every role is just extremely exceptional. Like no matter what he does, like even if it's fucking shitty ass fucking Star Wars, he would be Oscar is Black Hand. We're doing Black Hand now. Um I think it just he's so fucking like he could play again some of Lucy Laws. He could play anything. I wouldn't mind seeing him as Batman. He's 45. He's kind of in that role a little bit. I mean, people might be upset because he's like part Hispanic, but like fuck that shit. He would be great anyway. But yeah, Oscar Isaac, he is just no matter what role he does, he always brings his A game. So Oscar Isaac, whatever they decide to do for Black Hand, because I know he's done like a Black Hand can do a lot of different things in terms of like weirdy kind of mental patient, but at the same time, he could also be like a sort of sinister force of death in control. He could do both really well. So yes, Oscar Isaac again speaks for himself because he's so great. Now, the last one I have might be my personal favorite in terms of like who they would get in terms of like budget and in terms of somebody who could again do a spectrum. He's a great actor. Not saying like again, kind of similar with Tony Dalton as Sinestro. I'm not saying he would be bad, not at all. No, 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 no. And just because he's like not as well known, it's just like I would say TV actors who show a lot of talent are probably like the best ones because it's like boom, you get a bang for your buck, but at the same time, you're getting actors who are possibly even better than some A-listers. With that, for Black Hand, I chose Sam Witwer. He is our last one of the night. He's around 46 years old. He would be honestly would like I would love to see him go crazy with this. Kenobi, just to be like Jordan, just full on whatever they decide to do with him. Um, uh, can Oscar Isaac do DC while playing Moon Knight? I don't know. Is another season coming? I don't think that's ever been announced. Whatever they do decide to do. But yes. Oh, somebody was saying was talking about Jodie Comer as Star Sapphire. Yes, I agree with that. Jodie Comer as Jenny Sparks, I think would be better. That would be way better. But yes, we have Sam Witwer. I mean, he's more so known for like the Star Wars side of universities because he's a fucking huge Star Wars nerd. Um, but even then, I still think that he would most definitely be because here's the thing with Sam Witwer, like he's just one of those guys that like what's the I know the understands the assignment because he always comes in he's kind of like what every fan wants to be if they were given a role. Now, he does have a bit of pedigree with Smallville, played Davis Bloom slash Doomsday. I know people kind of want to forget that because that wasn't really a great iteration of Doomsday. They tried to do something interesting, but it kind of failed a little bit. But so I think he needs some redemption in terms of DC. So I think Black Hand would be perfect for him. Now I think he would be in a good range of roles. Honestly, Sam Witwer, he's kind of in the same age for Batman. Honestly, I would love to see it. I think he would be great. But I do genuinely believe Sam Witwer because he, as I've said with Black Hand, they could do a lot of different things with Black Hand. They can do weird. They can do in control. They can do a lot of different things because, like, I think Black Hand is definitely like a very intriguing sort of character. I would love to see like, I wouldn't want to see like a weird, um, a weirder like portrayal because I feel like that's a bit, you know, derivative of like other characters like Joker and that kind of thing. Like, so I'd love to see like a more in control. I know that's like maybe too, easy, but I think yeah, I do believe Sam Witwer could be, I think he could do whatever he wants with the role. Like I just love him so much because it's like he treats fans with respect. He understands a fan's plight, and I think I would love to. So I was putting on my plastic rings because I wanted to show you guys my plastic rings too. Like, boom, there we go, got them all on. So yeah, I think yeah, oh yeah, Whitwer. This might be an older picture of him. I might try to find like a newer picture of him somewhere. I don't know. He doesn't do like a lot of live action stuff. So I'm gonna okay. Yeah, no, and then he was also Agent Liberty. I forgot about that. Most people want to forget about that. But what? Yeah, it's what has he done recently? So, let's I'll just, do that. I'll look up Sam Witwer 2024. Because I think that was a younger picture of him. I don't know. Maybe that's a better picture of him. There's a lot of different pictures of him. So, I mean, he does have more like slightly more wrinkles now, but honestly, he's as Lenny said, he looks really good for his age. So, whatever they decide to do for Black Hand, um, is I think Sam Witwer would probably be the best and probably the cheapest out of all of them. But that doesn't mean bad because that means that he's just that terrific, that underrated that they're able to get someone that immensely talented and actually utilize it well before he becomes super ultra um before he becomes super ultra expensive. um Now, Lenny asks a very important question that I wanted to address before we end for the night, because we want to give Lenny as much time and attention as she deserves. So, can Gunn and Saffron get bums in seats in July of 2025? That is an excellent question because I would say that's a firm maybe because I was one of the ones that was like, "Oh yeah, Joker, that's definitely gonna fucking get bums and seats. Oh, it's gonna be great." But look how that turned out. Considering we are not getting a live action film on the big screen until Superman, it's a little bit more up in the air, I think. However, I think Superman has enough fans and Gunn has enough fans that they'll flock to it because you're gonna get some less crazy Marvel fans who are just fans of James Gunn who are like going to go see the movie. Then you have Superman fans who are like, I'm willing to accept everything. And then he's also Superman is so well known that it's just like, yeah, I think we're gonna be getting that. I think we're gonna be getting something great with this. And so, and you also have the general audiences to think of. As long as they get some good trailers out, I think, yeah, get something for the Super Bowl, get something, like, as we mentioned before, um he needs a cold, or I think Sam Witwer could do a cold aura. But yes, Dan mentioned good viral marketing. Um, yeah, older generation as well. Just you gotta go fire on all cylinders. You gotta market the shit out of this movie. That's what they tried to do with Joker, and it failed miserably. However, with Superman, it's a little bit easier, but a little bit tougher at the same time. Because easier, you have like, okay, you have, traditional look. You can get the older generation with that, sell it on TV, cable, boom, get the older viral marketing, as Dan mentioned. Viral marketing will help get the newer crowd who are not really into seeing movies anymore, like Gen Z, Gen Alpha, the younger side of millennials, get them. Um, and then, like, get some, like, and then get stuff, like, try to get people in between. So, get, like, selling ads on Facebook and all that stuff. So, as I think they just need to fire on all cylinders, spend money to make money, because that's the thing that's going to get people in seats, because they just don't have, they just don't have stuff anymore. But even then, yes, I think yeah, as long as they fire on all cylinders, then I think they will do fine. But Joker did throw a wrench into things. I'm not going to act like it didn't. It did a little bit. Hugo, what is your suggestion? He has to get everyone like Donner did in 1978. I agree with that. Yeah, speaking of light, older generations will go to see it. Get a good popcorn bucket so me and Liz can go crazy over it. The cop from from the cop from Peacemaker, he was also in Van Helsing. He was the very creepy cop working with Peacemaker. You got to give me a name. I don't know who you're talking about. Are you talking about him for Black Hand? Um, but yeah. We'll wait on Hugo's comment for a little bit. Yes, I would love to see a Superman popcorn bucket. We're kind of reaching towards the end here. Um a I got to start another live show in about 15 minutes. So, you know, um so I'm just gonna kind of cut it before it gets a little bit too long today. I just want to say thank you guys for watching. It got a little busy towards the end. I really hope you enjoyed my casting suggestions. A lot of people liked stuff in the earlier stuff. So in case you missed it, I had for Atrocitus, I had Tony Todd, aka Candyman, and Christopher Judge, aka Kratos. Then for Larfleeze, Agent Orange of the Orange Lantern of Avarice, I had Andy Serkis and Willem Dafoe, get Gollum for Space Gollum. Then for Sinestro, I had Luke Evans, Jason Isaacs, even though he'd be better for Brainiac, and Tony Dalton. I think Tony Dalton would be exceptional. Then for Saint Walker, the thing that started all, I forget who initially made this casting suggestion. I throw it out to them because they were the one who started all this. Kehu Kwan as Saint Walker, as well as Doug Jones. And then for the Iroke Indigo 1, I did Bitsy Tulloch and Daniela Melchior. And then for the Star Sapphires, Famke Janssen, Elizabeth Shue, and Lucy Lawless would be all excellent. And then finally for Black Hand, I picked Carl Urban, Oscar Isaac, and Sam Witwer. So I think all of them would be extremely excellent. Thank you for watching. Make sure to like, make sure to comment, make sure to subscribe, click the bell. I know the bell can be a little bit awkward at times because sometimes you still don't get the notifications, but do it anyway if you're subscribed. But yes, thank you for watching. Please leave a comment because maybe you'll be featured on a future episode, and we'll talk about it, especially if you don't catch us during live shows. And then you can, leave a comment and then you can catch that not during the live show. But again, once again, I thank everyone for watching, even if people are coming in late. So thank you, Lenny, Buster, Hugo, Casey, Ron, Hunter, Iggy, Bus Barnes. I think I mentioned him. Casey, Manolo Rivera, Antonio was in the beginning. All of you have been excellent. Thank Kavari, right, dude. Thank you very much. You have all been excellent, and we love your comments. We love your interactions. Lenny, we've missed you. Thank you for coming back. But that is all for today. We'll see you tomorrow for another DCU Daily.